There is something extraordinary happening right at this very moment, and most people haven't noticed it yet. Those who have awakened, those who have begun to see through the veil of collective illusion, are simply disappearing, not with cries of rebellion, not with social media manifestos, not with dramatic declarations of rupture. They are just quietly stepping back, dissolving into the margins of society, choosing silence over the deafening noise. And if you have been feeling this magnetic pull away from the crowds, if you have been wondering why you can no longer bear the empty conversations, the performative parties, the endless social games, then what I am about to reveal may bring profound relief to your restless soul. Because this disappearance is not a sickness. It is not antisocial behavior or disguised depression. It is, in fact, the most natural thing in the world when someone truly awakens. Let me explain what I mean by awakening, because I am not talking about reading a few philosophy books or having a pleasant idea about cosmic unity. I am talking about that irreversible moment when the veil drops and you see that almost everything people are doing is a form of spiritual sleepwalking. They are playing roles, repeating memorized lines, moving through automated routines, all while completely unaware that they are asleep on their feet. When you're asleep too, this presents no problem whatsoever. You fit in perfectly. You can have conversations about absolutely nothing and feel perfectly fine. You can worry about what others think and believe it truly matters. You can chase things that have no real substance and call it success. But the moment you awaken, the moment you truly see what is happening, everything changes irreversibly. Before we continue, if you are resonating with what I am saying, if these words are touching something deep within you, leave your like on this video. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. And in the comments, tell me, has this happened to you? Do you know someone who is going through this silent transformation? Share your experience. Now let us go deeper. Suddenly you are like a person who has walked out of a dark movie theater into the brilliant daylight. And when you try to go back inside the cinema, when you try to sit down and watch the flickering images on the screen again, you simply cannot do it. Because you know it is just light and shadow projected on a wall. You know it is not real. You have seen behind the curtain, and there is no unseeing what has been seen. This is what is happening to awakening people right now. They are finding that they can no longer participate in the collective dream, not because they are superior or more enlightened or better than anyone else, but because their nervous system simply cannot tolerate it anymore. Their entire being rejects the falseness, like a body rejecting a foreign organ. You see, society operates on a kind of unspoken agreement, a collective contract that everyone signs without ever reading the terms. An agreement to pretend that the roles we play are who we really are, to pretend that the opinions we hold are actually ours and not something we absorbed from the cultural atmosphere like secondhand smoke, to pretend that all this urgency and seriousness and striving is leading somewhere important, somewhere meaningful. And everyone must participate in this pretending for the whole system to work. It is like a massive theatrical production where all the actors must stay in character at all times. But when someone wakes up, they break character. They forget their lines. They start looking directly at the audience instead of at their fellow actors. And this makes everyone extraordinarily uncomfortable because the awakened person can see what is really going on beneath the surface performance. They can see the fear lurking beneath the confident mask. They can see the emptiness beneath the constant busyness. They can see that most of what people are fighting about has nothing to do with what they think they are fighting about. When someone points at another group and says those people are the problem, the awakened person sees that this is just a sophisticated way of avoiding one's own inner darkness. When someone posts their outrage in the digital public square, the awakened person sees that this is just unconscious material, desperately seeking a target, any target. When society divides itself into us and them, into the righteous and the condemned, the awakened person sees that both sides are merely shadows boxing with each other, projecting their unexamined pain onto convenient screens. And once you see this, you cannot unsee it. You cannot go back to taking it all seriously. You cannot participate in the blame and the judgment and the righteous anger because you understand that it is all just one massive projection, one enormous game of pointing at others to avoid the terrifying task of looking at ourselves. So what does the awakened person do? They withdraw. Not because they hate people or think themselves superior, but because staying in the game requires them to betray what they have seen. Every conversation requires them to pretend they do not see what they see. Every social gathering requires them to perform a version of themselves that no longer exists, that has died and cannot be resurrected. Every interaction asks them to be less than they have become, to dim their light so others feel comfortable in their darkness. And eventually the soul says enough. Stop pretending, stop performing, stop translating your depth into shallow terms just to maintain a belonging that was never real in the first place. Go where you can breathe. Go where you can be true. Now, I want to be absolutely clear about something crucial here. This is not spiritual bypassing. This is not running away from responsibility or the hard work of being human. This is not some kind of escapism where you go hide in a cave because life is too challenging or demanding. No, this is something else entirely, something far more profound and necessary. This is the recognition that staying in unconscious environments actually damages consciousness itself. It is like asking a plant to grow in complete darkness. It can survive for a while, drawing on stored reserves, but eventually it will wither and die. The awakened person discovers that being surrounded by unconsciousness is not just uncomfortable or annoying, it is actively depleting. It drains the life force. Every time you are immersed in environments where people are asleep, you have to work tremendously hard to maintain your own wakefulness. You have to constantly filter out the projections being thrown at you. You have to hold your center while chaos swirls around you like a hurricane. You have to remain clear and present while everyone else is foggy and absent. And this takes enormous energy, invisible energy that no one sees or appreciates or even acknowledges. You are doing intense psychological and spiritual work that others are not even aware needs to be done. You are holding space, maintaining boundaries, processing projections, staying grounded, all while appearing to simply be present at a dinner party or a work meeting. And after a while, you realize that you are spending all your precious life energy just trying to stay conscious in environments that are actively pulling you back to sleep, back to the comfortable numbness of unconsciousness. So you make a choice. A difficult choice, but a necessary one. You choose consciousness over belonging. You choose truth over acceptance. You choose your own inner clarity over the approval of people who cannot see what you see, who do not want to see what you see. And this is when the disappearing truly begins. First, you leave social media because you realize it is a machine specifically designed to keep people unconscious. Every scroll is an invitation to judgment, comparison, outrage, distraction, anything but genuine presence and awareness. For someone who is awakened, it feels like swimming in sewage, like voluntarily poisoning yourself. So you simply stop. You delete the applications. You stop checking, and suddenly you have hours of life returned to you, hours that were being stolen by the attention merchants. Then you start leaving social circles, not with anger or dramatic announcements or burning bridges. You just gradually stop showing up. Because you realize that most social gatherings are elaborate performances, people performing their success, their happiness, their opinions, their entire identity. And you can no longer perform. Your authentic self has emerged from the cocoon, and it has absolutely no interest in pretending anymore. It would rather be alone than false. Then you leave certain relationships, not because you stop caring about people or because you have become cold or heartless, but because some relationships were built entirely on who you used to be, on the sleeping version of yourself. And now that you have awakened, there is no common ground anymore. You are speaking different languages. You are living in different worlds. You are operating from completely different levels of consciousness. And trying to maintain these relationships feels like constantly translating yourself, constantly compromising your truth, constantly pretending to be someone you are not anymore. Then you leave your career. This is often the most difficult and frightening one because society has convinced us that our work is our identity, that what we do is who we are. But the awakened person can no longer perform the role that their job requires. They can no longer pretend to care about things that fundamentally do not matter. They can no longer participate in systems they see straight through. They can no longer sell their life energy for money while betraying their soul. And so they leave. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, sometimes with a plan, sometimes by simply walking away. But they leave because staying would mean dying in a different way, a worse way. It would mean killing the consciousness they have worked so hard to develop. Now let me tell you what happens in this withdrawal, because it is not what most people think. Most people imagine that disappearing from society means becoming isolated, depressed, lonely, disconnected. But for the awakened person, the opposite happens. In solitude, they finally stop being lonely. You see, there is a profound difference between loneliness and aloneness. Loneliness is what you feel when you are surrounded by people who do not see you, who cannot see you, who look at you, but see only their projections and expectations. Aloneness is what you feel when you are finally free to be yourself, fully and completely, without masks or performances or translations. When the awakened person withdraws, they discover something extraordinary and liberating. They discover that they were never really with other people, even when they were physically surrounded by them. Because real connection, genuine meeting, requires consciousness meeting consciousness, presence meeting presence, truth meeting truth. And when you are awake in a room full of sleeping people, there is no one to actually meet. You are fundamentally alone, even in the crowd. But in solitude, in that quiet space away from the noise and the performance and the projection and the demand to be something you are not, you meet yourself. You really meet yourself for perhaps the first time. Not the version you have been performing for others, not the role you have been playing to survive and belong, but the actual living, breathing consciousness that you are. And this is not lonely. This is coming home. This is finding the one relationship that can never be taken from you, the relationship with your own being. In this space of intentional solitude, you can finally hear your own thoughts without the constant interference of other people's opinions and judgments. You can finally feel your own feelings without absorbing everyone else's emotional chaos like a psychic sponge. You can finally discover what you actually want, what you actually believe, who you actually are beneath all the layers of conditioning and expectation and performance. This is what I call the hermit phase, the cocoon time, and it is absolutely necessary for anyone who is truly awakening. You cannot transform while maintaining all your old connections and commitments and roles. You cannot become a butterfly while still living as a caterpillar, still crawling on the ground, still eating leaves. There must be a withdrawal, a dissolution, a time of deep internal work that happens in darkness and privacy. And during this time, the awakened person is not escaping, or avoiding, or running away. They are integrating. They are processing all the unconsciousness they have absorbed over the years like toxic waste. They are healing the wounds that came from pretending to be someone they were not. They are developing the strength and clarity to stand in their truth, even when everyone around them is still asleep, and demanding that they sleep too. This is hard work, much harder than staying asleep, because when you are awake, you can no longer blame others for your suffering. You can no longer project your darkness onto convenient targets and feel righteous. You can no longer avoid your own depths by staying busy and distracted and numb, and you must face everything. All the fear you have been running from, all the pain you have been avoiding, all the ugliness you have been denying, all the parts of yourself you have rejected and exiled into the shadow. And you must do this alone because no one else can do it for you. No guru, no therapist, no book, no teaching can do your inner work. But here is the beautiful thing, the reward for this difficult journey. Once you have done this work, once you have integrated your shadow and found your authentic self and established a real relationship with your own being, you are no longer dependent on others for your sense of reality. You are no longer looking for approval or validation or belonging from the outside world. You have found something infinitely more valuable. You have found yourself. You have found home. And from this place of inner solidity and clarity, if you choose to return to society, you return completely differently. Not to participate in the unconsciousness, but to offer something else, a different frequency, a different possibility, a different way of being human. You become what I call a border dweller, a threshold person, someone who lives on the edge between the sleeping world and the awakened world. You are present but not absorbed, available but not dependent, engaged but not entangled. You might work with individuals who are beginning to wake up, who are feeling the first stirrings of consciousness. You might create art that speaks to the depths, that points beyond the surface games. You might write words that serve as maps for other disappearing souls, breadcrumbs for those following the same path. You might simply live your life in such an authentic way that others begin to wonder if there is another way to be, if the script they are following is the only option. But you never return to the mainstream. You cannot, because once you have tasted genuine consciousness, you cannot go back to sleep. Once you have touched your authentic self, you cannot go back to performing a false role. Once you have seen through the game, you cannot pretend it is real. The veil has been lifted permanently. Now I know what some of you are thinking. Is this not selfish? Should we not stay engaged and try to help wake others up? Should we not work to change the system from within? Should we not be activists and change makers? And here is what I want to say to that question. You cannot give what you do not have. If you have not fully awakened yourself, if you have not done your own deep inner work, if you have not integrated your own shadow and faced your own darkness and found your own authentic being, then you have nothing real to offer others. You will just be one more sleeping person trying to wake up other sleeping people. You will just be projecting your own unconsciousness while claiming to be enlightened. You will just be spreading more confusion while thinking you are bringing clarity. No, the most loving thing you can do, the most responsible thing, is to awaken fully yourself, to do the deep work of integration, to become genuinely conscious. And then from that place of real awakening, from that solid ground, you can be available to others who are ready. But understand this crucial point. Most people are not ready. Most people do not want to wake up. They want to keep dreaming their dreams, playing their games, performing their roles. And that is perfectly fine. That is their absolute right. That is their path. Your job is not to wake them up. Your job is not to convince them or persuade them or prove to them that they are asleep. Your job is to wake up yourself, fully and completely, and then to be available, quietly, gently, without force or evangelism or missionary zeal, for those rare individuals who are beginning to stir in their sleep, who are asking the questions that have no comfortable answers. This is why the spiritually awakened are disappearing. They are going where they can be real, where they can breathe, where they can continue developing their consciousness without constantly having to defend it, or explain it, or dim it to make others comfortable. They are finding each other in small circles, in quiet spaces, on the margins and edges. They are creating little pockets of consciousness in a vast sea of sleep. They are building alternative ways of living that do not require them to betray themselves hourly. And this is not abandonment of the world. This is actually the most responsible thing they can do. Because the collective does not need more people participating in its unconsciousness, adding their voice to the cacophony. It needs people who have done the hard work of waking up. It needs living examples of another way to be. It needs individuals who have found their authentic selves and are living from that truth. So if you are feeling the pull to disappear, if you are finding it harder and harder to participate in normal society, if you are losing interest in the games and the performances and the noise, then listen to that pull. Trust it. Honor it. It is your soul calling you home. It is your consciousness asking for the space and silence it needs to fully emerge and establish itself. Do not fight it. Do not feel guilty about it. Do not try to force yourself to stay engaged with things that drain you and diminish you. Give yourself permission to withdraw. Give yourself permission to be alone. Give yourself permission to disappear for a while. This is not permanent. This is not forever. You will return when you are ready. But you will return as someone different, someone whole, someone authentic, someone who can offer real consciousness rather than just more unconscious performance and pretending. And in the meantime, use your solitude well. Do the inner work that only you can do. Integrate your shadow. Face your darkness. Find your authentic self beneath all the layers. Develop your consciousness intentionally and deliberately. Because this is what the world actually needs desperately. Not more people pretending to be awake. Not more spiritual teachers who have not done their own work. But people who have genuinely awakened, who have walked through the fire and emerged transformed. The spiritually awake are disappearing because they must. Because consciousness cannot develop and deepen in unconscious environments. Because authenticity cannot emerge while performing a false role. Because truth cannot be found while participating in collective lies and delusions. So let them go. Or rather, if you are one of them, let yourself go. Withdraw without guilt. Disappear without apology. Be alone without loneliness. And trust that you are following an ancient pattern, a necessary pattern, the pattern that every genuinely awakening person must follow. The caterpillar must completely dissolve in the darkness of the cocoon before it can become the butterfly. The seed must break apart in the dark soil, dying to what it was, before it can become the towering tree. The awakened person must withdraw from society, must go through the hermit phase, must spend time in intentional solitude, before they can return with something real and valuable to offer. This is not the end. This is the beginning. The beginning of genuine consciousness in a world that desperately needs it, but does not yet know how to ask for it. But that consciousness must be developed in solitude and silence before it can be shared in community. It must be established firmly within before it can be expressed without. So disappear if you must. Withdraw if you are called. And know that in your disappearing, you are actually preparing something precious. Something the sleeping world cannot yet see or value. Something it will desperately need when it begins to wake up. You are not abandoning anyone. You are pioneering. You are going ahead to prepare the way. You are becoming what others will eventually need you to be. And that is the most loving thing you can possibly do.